If you've been scrolling through endless camera specs, watching tutorial after tutorial, and still feel stuck wondering whether the Sony Alpha FX3 is the right tool for your next project, you're not alone. I've been there, trying to sort out which full-frame cinema camera actually translates into smoother workflow on set, and which one just looks good on paper. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. In the next few minutes I'll walk through the real-world experience of the FX3, what it does well, where it trips up, and who should actually click add to cart versus who might be better off looking elsewhere. First off, the biggest question that keeps popping up in forums and comment sections is this camera beginner-friendly, or does it belong in a professional kit? The FX3 sits in a sweet spot that Sony markets as the smallest cinema line camera, and that claim isn't just about dimensions. The body is compact enough to mount on a gimbal without a bulky rig, yet it still carries the DNA of the Alpha series that professional cinematographers trust. That means you get the same full-frame sensor and the same high-resolution readout as the higher-priced FX6, but without the built-in handle and top-mount accessories that can feel overwhelming for someone stepping up from a mirrorless stills camera. Ease of use is surprisingly intuitive once you get past the first menu dive. Sony's menu system has a reputation for being deep and occasionally confusing, but the FX3 leans on the cage-free design to keep the essential controls front and center. The custom button layout mirrors the newer Alpha bodies, so if you already own a Sony A7 series, the button placement will feel familiar. The real kicker for many users is the quick access movie button that instantly swaps the camera into a video-centric mode, activating the S-Cinetone color profile and turning on the electronic viewfinder frame rate that matches your recording settings. That single press cuts down the time you'd normally spend digging through menus to enable a cinematic look. Autofocus confidence is another hot topic, especially for creators who rely on run-and-gun shooting. The FX3 inherits Sony's renowned real-time IAF and real-time tracking, which have been honed on the Alpha line for years. In daylight or bright indoor lighting, the AF locks onto subjects in a split second, even when they move across the frame. The real test, though, is low-light performance. Thanks to the full-frame sensor and the 15+ stops of dynamic range, the FX3 can maintain solid focus down to around ISO 6400 without hunting. In my own tests shooting a dimly lit jazz club, the camera stayed locked on a saxophonist's face while the surrounding stage lights flickered, and I never had to manually refocus. That reliability is a huge confidence boost for anyone who can't afford to waste time reshooting scenes. Stabilization is a practical strength that often gets glossed over in spec sheets. The FX3 packs a 5-axis in-body image stabilization IBIS that works hand-in-hand and on light gimbals. In handheld interviews, you can see a noticeable reduction in jitter, especially when paired with a 2435mm f/2.8 lens that I used for a documentary piece. The IBIS isn't a substitute for a full gimbal rig on high-action shots, but it does let you get away with a smaller setup and still deliver smooth footage. That translates directly into lower equipment rental costs and quicker load-in times on location. Now, let's talk about the lens ecosystem, because a camera is only as good as the glass you pair with it. Sony's mount offers a massive selection of both native and adapted lenses, ranging from ultra-wide primes to telephoto zooms. The FX3's full-frame sensor takes full advantage of those lenses, delivering the shallow depth of field that filmmakers love. However, there's a practical caveat. Many of the high-end cinema lenses designed for the FX series still carry a premium price tag. If you're on a tight budget, you'll likely rely on the same lenses you use on your A7 IV or a 6600, which works fine, but you won't be tapping into the full cinema-grade optics that some productions demand. So the FX3 is versatile, but the ultimate image quality you achieve still hinges on the lenses you already own or are willing to invest in. Menu friction can be a deal-breaker for people who are new to Sony's video workflows. The FX3 does a decent job of separating still settings from video settings, but the transition isn't seamless. For example, if you want to switch between Slog 3 and S-Cinetone, you have to dive into the picture profile menu and toggle a couple of options. It's not a deal breaker, but it does mean you'll need a short learning curve if you plan to switch looks on the fly. On the upside, once you set up your custom buttons, you can pull those profiles up with a single press, which mitigates the menu depth after the initial setup. Battery confidence is a practical concern that many creators overlook until they're in the field. The FX3 uses Sony's NP-FZ100 battery, the same one found in the A7 IV, which gives you roughly 90 minutes of continuous shooting.